So, I'm going to show you all of the new food recipes in Grow a Garden. Let's get stuck right in. So, let's make our way to the recipe book. As you can see, we got the candy apple, we got the spaghetti, we also got sweet tea. These are the new recipes what we've got, including the porridge. I will show you how to make all of these in a moment. Let's start with the candy apple. So I'm going to show you how to make all of these now. So to make the candy apple, you want a base. The base is going to be a sugar apple or a normal apple. The sugar apple has a lot more higher rarity, so I highly recommend you using the sugar apple if you do want better rewards. So if you do use the sugar apple, obviously it's a lot more rarer than the normal apple, allowing you to get much more rarer rewards. So you want to choose the sugar apple or the normal apple, and then you want to use a candy coating. These are going to be all of the alternatives of candy coatings that you can choose from. Highly recommend the candy blossom, as you will be getting a lot more better rewards. So there you guys go, those are all of the recipes for the candy apple. We now move on to the spaghetti. The spaghetti is going to be quite complex because you do need to get at least 1 tomato, 1 corn, 1 pepper, and at least a vegetable. So I'm going to show you, these are all of the sauces: the tomato and the grand tomato. The pasta is going to be 1 corn, 1 sugar glaze, or 1 banana. So if you guys don't know how these recipes do work, you want to choose either 1 in each category. So you want to choose 1 in sauce, 1 in pasta, 1 in meat, and 1 in vegetable. A good combo is going to be grand tomato, the sugar glaze, and then I highly recommend you doing the bone blossom for the meat. And then for the vegetable, you could actually go ahead and do something like, let's have a look guys, you could probably do the carrot meat, no, not the carrot, the beanstalk. So personally, my combination for the spaghetti is going to be grand tomato, the sugar glaze, and then the pepper, no, the bone blossom, and then the beanstalk. So those are all of the recipes for the spaghetti. You can just choose whatever you want. These are all of the recipes that you can choose from. We now move on to the sweet tea. Let me show you how the sweet tea does work. So the sweet tea is actually going to be this. So we're going to start with the herbal base. The herbal base is based on flowers. So everything does have one thing in common. They're going to be a flower. So you can choose the vine petal, the honeysuckle, the rosy delight, the desin. So I highly recommend you choosing like the moon blossom with something like the candy blossom. There's probably going to be like a transcendent prismatic combination recipe, moon blossom and the candy blossom, or you can even do the ember lily and the candy blossom. It's up to you, but that is going to be the recipe for the sweet tea. And now I'm going to move on to the porridge. This is going to be the porridge. So you want to use 2 corn, then you want to use a fruit. The fruit is going to be a sugar apple that's very good, or you can even do the candy blossom to get yourself a prismatic version. So I highly recommend you doing 2 corn, sugar apple, or even the candy blossom. But yeah, you can even choose between the sugar apple or even the candy blossom, up to you. But that is going to be a recipe for the porridge, confirmed, as you can see. There's also going to be smoothies. If you want a smoothie, all you need to do is put in 1 fruit, such as a sugar apple, maybe even a candy blossom. Just put in something sweet. Well, a fruit pretty much, guys, okay? So sugar apple, avocado, grape, peach, put in a fruit, and you should be able to get a smoothie back out. Those are all of the new food recipes that we've got, but for the sake of it, if you still want to know all of the other recipes, I'll show you the recipe for the donut. So the donut, as you can see, this is what we got for icing. Those are going to be all of the icings for the donut. And then you want to use some sort of bread, such as a banana, maybe a sugar glaze, a corn. And then for sprinkles, we've got all of these options. The candy blossom is going to be a very good option for sprinkles, as you can see. So that's a very good recipe. What I would personally do is candy blossom, 1 candy blossom, 1 sugar glaze, and then 1 candy blossom. That's probably going to be a transcendent. So we now move on to the ice cream. The ice cream is actually going to be this. So I recommend the sugar glaze and maybe something like the candy blossom for a prismatic ice cream. We now can go ahead, guys, and move on to, let's see guys, what we've got here. So we've got the salad. So if you want the recipe for the salad, it's actually going to be this. So these are going to be all of the recipes for the salad. We got the Grand tomato, that's going to be a very good option. The grand tomato with the beanstalk, that is probably the best option. So grand tomato and the beanstalk is probably the best option what we've got here for the salad. So we now move on to the soup. So the soup what we've got here is going to be any plant. It literally just says any plant for the soup. That is insane. So you just want to put in anything and you get the soup. I made my way to the Grow a Garden wiki to show you guys all of the other food what you can make. So we got the sandwich. A prismatic sandwich is going to be 1 corn, 3 elderberry, and 1 tomato. We now can move on to the pie. If you want a transcendent pie, what you can actually do is 1 pumpkin, 4 bone blossom, or you can even do 1 coconut or 4 bone blossom. So those will give you a transcendent pie. We now move on to the waffle. So we got 1 strawberry. Well, that's going to be normal. So we want a transcendent one. So the first option is going to be 3 sugar apple and 2 coconut. That will go ahead and give you a waffle, but it can also make a smoothie. We now move on to the hot dog. So the hot dog, we got the transcendent version, 4 bone blossom and 1 corn. The corn does act as a bread, and then the bone blossom is meat, so that's a very good option what you can do for transcendent hot dog. We now move on to the pizza. So a transcendent pizza can also become a cake. It's 1 beanstalk, 1 banana, and 3 bone blossom. We now move on to the sushi. So the sushi is actually going to be a divine, 1 corn, 1 bamboo, and 3 bone blossom, as you can obviously see. So now what we can actually go ahead and do is move on to the burger. So we now got the burger. So the burger is actually going to be right here, as you can see. So 1 pepper, 1 corn, 1 tomato, or you can do 2 bell peppers and 1 violet corn. There you guys go. So I showed you every single new food recipe, including the old one. So there's every single new recipe in Grow a Garden, including the new ones. And not only that, I showed you how to get them prismatic / transcendent. These are the best recipes in the game that you want to use for you to go ahead and get yourself the best rarity rewards from the new update. So hopefully that this video helped you out. Make sure that you give it a like and subscribe to my channel. And yeah, I guess that I will now see you all in the very next video. Let me know down in the comments if this video did help you out, and peace out.